Welcome back, everybody. I want to bring in our panel right now. On the set, we're joined by Brad Gerstman, political consultant. You got Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Jessica Proud, Republican political strategist and vice president for NLO Strategies, and our senior political correspondent, Andrew Whitman. And guys, we're going to talk about the political response to what happened in the Middle East and how this thing has been either doubled down or ratcheted up until today. With the embassy crisis, we got headlong into the presidential campaign. As everybody knows, Mitt Romney has been taking heat from all sides since his press release and statement that he delivered Wednesday. And many people took shots at him for taking a lot of liberties with the facts, for jumping the gun and trying to score political points instead of trying to draw the country together during a time of crisis. Also, in my mind, and listen, this has nothing to do with politics. I don't care what party it is. You do this and you bring attention and you try and score political points at a point of both national tragedy and national crisis. I don't remember a candidate doing that in recent memory. Now, don't forget, before the embassy crisis, Romney was the target of comments like this one from conservative talker Laura Ingraham. A lot of people believe he did what he did to take heat off his candidacy. You take a listen and make your own judgment.
If you can't beat Barack Obama with this record, then shut down the party.
She wasn't alone. Take a listen to this from Rush Limbaugh, same day.
If Obama wins, let me tell you what's the end of the Republican Party. And there's going to be a third party that's going to be oriented toward conservatism. Rand Paul thinks libertarianism. And I know if Obama wins, the Republican Party is going to try to maneuver things so conservatives get blamed. The only problem is, right now, Romney's not running a conservative campaign.
Now, all that before the embassy crisis. Now, we're going to give you reactions in a moment for what they had to say. But first, let's just do something that doesn't happen often in TV. I want to get to the facts, or as some of them say, the lack of facts and how people responded to this. And I want to square it with what really happened. And Andrew, take politics completely out of this. Let's talk about what happened and when and who said what.
Rich, there are actually several aspects to Romney's speech and statement and approach that have fact checkers working overtime. First, his claim that the president and the people at the embassy in Cairo, who were, you'll remember, under attack on Tuesday, that they somehow abandoned their American values.
A terrible course for America to stand in apology for our values. The president and his administration have done something which is inconsistent with the principles of America. Simply put, having an embassy which has been breached and has protesters on its grounds, having violated the sovereignty of the United States, having that embassy reiterate a statement effectively apologizing for the right of free speech is not the right course for an administration.
Problem with that statement, neither America nor those embassy officials who were being attacked nor the president ever apologized for American values. They defended them. At 6:17 a.m. Tuesday, anticipating the furor that the movie was going to cause in the Muslim world, the embassy in Cairo issued a statement condemning the efforts of the filmmaker, or more specifically, quote, misguided individuals to hurt the religious feelings of Muslims as they wrote they would for any other religion, noting that respect for religious beliefs is a cornerstone of American democracy. No apology of free speech. It was actually a defense of free speech. And all Tuesday morning, the embassy was battered with complaints on Twitter from Egyptian Muslims about the film at the center of the crisis. Next from Romney came that somehow the U.S. somehow sympathized with the attackers in Egypt and Libya and lacked outrage.
I also believe the administration was wrong to stand by a statement sympathizing with those who had breached our embassy in Egypt, instead of condemning their actions. When our grounds are being attacked and being breached, that the first response of the United States must be outrage at the a breach of the sovereignty of our nation. And apology for America's values is never the right course.
Only this sympathize instead of outrage attack also fails a fact check. At 2:28 p.m. Eastern Time Tuesday, as the embassy was under attack, the embassy issued tweets, among them several that it sent out while under attack, saying, of course we condemn breaches of our compound. We're the ones actually living through this. They added, sorry, but neither breaches of our compound or angry messages, mostly from Americans at this point, will dissuade us from defending freedom of speech and criticizing bigotry. Finally, Romney spent a lot of time at Tuesday's press conference defending the timing of his campaign's initial attacks over the incident.
Instead of condemning their actions, it's never too early for the United States government to condemn attacks on Americans and to defend our values. I don't think we ever hesitate when we see something which is a violation of our principles.
Which again sounds reasonable, but the facts are missing. Romney's initial attacks came via press release at 10:09 p.m. Tuesday night on September 11th, before the death of the ambassador had gone public, and while the embassy attacks were still ongoing. In the statement, Romney again complained that the first reaction of the White House was not to condemn the attacks, but to sympathize with the attackers. But again, that's not true. The U.S. never sympathized with the attackers, only with the right to free speech, and clearly did condemn the attacks 5.5 hours before Romney complained that they had not. The timing and factual errors and truth stretching, just two of the reasons why a slew of Republican officials, conservatives, and political watchers lined up to criticize Romney yesterday, saying he should have waited, calling Romney, among other things, dishonest, unserious, unseemly, desperate, and unpresidential. Rich?
Okay. Now, after this, it should be said that both Rush as well as Laura Ingraham, they liked the response after this. We're going to get into the politics of this, and I think this much we can all agree on. We didn't think we'd be talking about foreign policy in this election. We thought we'd only be talking about the economy. Now it's front and center, and the hot mess in the Middle East might even become a bigger issue. But, Dom, I'm going to start with you, who's covered a lot of politicians and everything else. Whatever I agree, disagree with Mitt Romney, I never would have expected what he did. And he had a chance. Fine, you screw up one time, that's one thing. But we all know when you have a chance and you sleep on it and more facts come out. He had a chance the second day to step it back, and he doubled down on it. Today, he's backing off on it. But my problem was the second time he talked, there wasn't a hint of, oops, I went too far on this thing, now a guy's dead. He kept doing it. It was patently for political purposes in my eyes. And not only did he take a lot of heat for it, I think he deserved every single bit of you-know-what that he's getting right now for what he did.
Mr. Romney screwed up. It's that simple. And I don't know if I really blame him as much as I blame his staff. Whoever is advising Mr. Romney should be fired on the spot. Here's why, Richard. You don't do this at time of national crisis. Yes, he didn't know at the time initially that the ambassador was dead, but there's only one president at a time.
But he knew the second time.
He knew the second time. But here's what this was. This was a play to the conservative base. But he screwed up.
But Dominic, that's the point. I think you're making the point here with Romney, and it's not his staffer because they're all trained the same way, and it's built up from the top down. Everything is politics with him. He doesn't stand by or believe anything in particular.
You are correct.
When he wants to make an attack, he goes for an attack, and that's exactly what his MO is. And he felt an opportunity. 1 second, Jessica. He had an opportunity to attack the president. That's all he thought about. He didn't think about, how would I be bigger than this issue? How can I show my leadership? Instead, I'm going to point the fingers. The embassy did wrong. The president did wrong. They're part of the administration. Everyone did wrong.
Hang on a minute, though, Brad. You want to talk about the facts. That report just conveniently left out the fact that the White House distanced itself and repudiated the embassy's statement, which totally vindicated what Romney had to say. He was making an initial reaction to the statement put out by the Cairo embassy before we had any idea about the violent attacks that happened. So to blow this up and make it something that it's not is just being a victim of the fact that we're in the heat of campaign season.
How about this? In the heat of campaign season, we can look to not too distant past history to say that it doesn't always go down this way. In 80, okay, 1980, got American hostages sitting in, in Iran, and Jimmy Carter tried that horrifically failed rescue attempt. I'm going to read you a quote, and you tell me who said this. This is the time for us as a nation and a people to stand united and to pray. That's from Ronald Reagan.
Exactly.
Let me give you another one. This one. I unequivocally support the President of the United States, no ifs, ands, or buts, and it certainly is not a time to go one up politically. He made a difficult, courageous decision. That was from Bush Sr. Those two guys, when anybody could have taken a shot, and one Democrat did, Jimmy Carter at the time, those two guys didn't. And when Reagan was the nominee at a debate and asked the question, what did he do differently? He again took a pass and said, you know what? let's think about the hostages first. That to me is presidential.
It's an entirely different situation.
How so?
It's apples and oranges. You're talking about, first of all, why does the U.S. government have to defend this video to begin with, which we're now learning was not even the impetus
They didn't
for
defend
the
the video.
attacks.
Who defended the
They're
video?
apologizing for it.
No,
so
they're
why
defending-
is
they're
it the
defending
role
they're
of the
defending
U.S.
right
government?
of the filmmaker to make the video. They're defending his free speech rights. They're not defending the video.
And by the way, that wasn't even up for conversation. What they said was, sorry if this offended people. And by the way, if I'm one of the 11 guys and probably a dog that's sitting in that Libyan embassy, I'm doing everything I can to stay alive, A. And point B, it came out before the embassy was even attacked.
But the White House, the White House itself repudiated the statement, and you have a situation where the president doesn't even have control over his U.S.
Jessica,
embassies,
in
and
a
they're making
million
those
years, would
statements.
you have counseled Mitt Romney to say what he said?
Do you think he ever would have said that?
Question. I know you better than that because you're better than those guys. What you would have said is you would have told him to act presidential like he did the day before on 9/11 on the anniversary. He didn't campaign. He chose to campaign on 9/12 when we have embassies under siege. And it ain't just me doing it. You got elected Republicans, the Peggy Noonans of the world, I can go down the list, who said it didn't look, feel, or sound.
I agree. The timing was inappropriate. I think the sentiment of what he was saying was correct and does deserve a debate and a role in this campaign. And I would even argue that Obama's statement since that Egypt is not an ally is even more of a dangerous statement than anything Mitt Romney has said to
This
date.
was all about the Democratic convention. The Romney folks saw, they didn't get a bounce. Obama did, and they hit the panic button.
It was also about the Republican convention. We heard all throughout that Obama apologizes for America. I think the Romney campaign thought that this was another example of that, or that they could sell it as an example of that, and other things weren't working.
Unless somebody disagrees with me, this hurt Mitt Romney this week a heck of a lot more than it helped him. We're going to find out that there's going to be a debate that's going to be on foreign policy. This is going to come up. I don't know. We can debate politics all we want, but what's that famous line? It ends at the nation's shore, right? Apparently not anymore. We're going to keep the conversation going online. Head to our Facebook page and Twitter and sound off. Mitt on the Middle East, was he out of line? Maybe you think he wasn't. Either way, I want you to make your opinion heard. Now, when we come back, we're going to head over to the Big Apple for reaction to a decision that's got a lot of people amped up. And maybe it sounds trivial after talking about the Middle East, but you should see the passions running on this thing. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg's soda ban. The proposal, it was upheld today. I'm going to talk to one of the lead plaintiffs in this case right after this, and we'll get reaction on the Coke crackdown. Stay with us.